Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
The federal government recently released a shocking new ad campaign depicting a young woman gasping for air whilst attached to a ventilator. However, the vast majority of those under 40 are ineligible for a vaccine due to an apparent lack of supply. Young Australians like myself are now seeing our fully vaccinated friends overseas getting back to normal while we are still living in and out of lockdowns. Why did the Morrison government spend taxpayer dollars to produce an advertisement featuring the wrong demographic and not one promoting the benefits of vaccination instead?
Well, we've got two young women on the panel here, I guess, who are, you'll take that age discount too, who I guess this ad was aimed at. Alison, did it work for you?
It is like, if it was possible for Morrison to gaslight anymore. That is like the upper limit of it. It's like
Main point I'm getting at with I know I'm not the only one that gets mad at the ad saying, go get your jab, and yell back at them. If the dickheads that run this country didn't fuck everything up, I would have got my jab long ago.
First seeing that ad, distressed, and I thought, why is the federal government... There we go. Why is the federal government... why is it trying to instill deep fear in people? It has not given us a public health campaign since the pandemic hit, 18 months in. I grew up in a time of slip, slop, slap and, big public health campaigns that you can do them when you actually want to achieve, public health outcomes. What this ad for me is doing is distilling fear. It's deepening fear, and I think this is very typical of the way the federal government's politics are shaped. It's not concerned about bringing people together, of which all of the research shows that messages of solidarity and make this sacrifice because it's for the good of everyone. If you look at everyone else's ads internationally, smiling faces, people coming together, the sacrifices we made, we're all better off together. And we've got that. And it features a young woman, a young person who can't even access the bloody vaccine.
I saw that new COVID ad and it's doing my fucking head in. It's clearly meant to target and frighten young people, and it tells us to go get vaccinated right at the end, even though we can't. Even though we can't do it. And it's literally because Scott Morrison didn't order enough for everybody.
I've now had 3 sources telling me the same story, one including from the United States, of what happened with Pfizer last June. And if these 3 separate sources are right, what happened with Pfizer last June is that they wanted to make Australia an example to the world about how to roll out, a bit like Israel or other places. And they said, how much do you want and when do you want it? And on the 10th of July, there was a meeting, and what I'm told happened at that meeting was that there was an inexperienced person there with procurement, and they said, they were pretty rude at the meeting, and they said, well, you're going to have to give us all your IP, which is an amazing thing to have said, and started nickel and diming on the cost. And essentially, the conversation stopped, and then they came back in November, Commonwealth, and only got 10 million doses. They should have ordered 40 million so that we've got enough as a true backup. We didn't know what was going to go happening then. And I suspect that some of the experts that were advising them told them that the mRNA vaccine wasn't going to be any good. Don't bother. And, I'd love to know what happened in that room. Those are the questions I'd like to ask, because this has just, maybe I've been doing this too long over the last year. I'm getting a bit tired, but I'm just really angry. I mean, personally, I'm now crossing the line as a journalist, but just really angry. The level of incompetence is breathtaking. And when you talk to people on the inside, they say it's worse than you imagine it from the outside.
And I need to give a quick shout out to Scott Hamilton for sharing that audio clip, especially because it's no longer available. And to add to that, Dan shared a bit of an article highlighting senior Pfizer executives told the businessman that if Australia was to make a more serious effort after its treatment at the hands of relatively junior bureaucrats, it would have to come from much higher up, expressing their astonishment that Prime Minister Scott Morrison had not directly spoken to the Pfizer chairman and chief executive Albert Bourla, as former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had done on multiple occasions. So we'll get told to stay home, get tested, and book for our vaccination. There's not even enough fucking vaccines. But yeah, okay, let's go to health.gov.au and check to see who's eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine, especially since COVID-19 can affect anyone. The following people were already eligible for the vaccination: all adults aged 50 and over, quarantine and border workers, healthcare workers, aged care and disability care residents and staff, people aged 16 and over with an underlying medical condition or significant disability, critical and high-risk workers aged 16 and over including defence, police, fire, emergency services and meat processing, individuals with an Australian Border Force outwards travel exemption in an eligible category. And the following people are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. All adults aged 40 to 49, all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders aged 16 to 49, NDIS participants aged 16 years and older, and unpaid and informal carers of NDIS participants of any age. Temporary visa holders aged under 50 years who are currently in Australia and have been approved for return travel to Australia through the travel exemption process. Adults aged 18 to 39 can choose to receive the AstraZeneca vaccine. Oh yeah, that's right, because that one was not advised for younger people. We were meant to get the Pfizer ones and older people were meant to get the AstraZeneca vaccine. But it seems like even older Australians aren't too keen on the AstraZeneca vaccine, and we all know why. Because of the risk of blood clots. And as you could see, those were two very recent articles within a couple of hours of me making this video. And here is another very recent article that I would like to read to you. Australian government scales back supply projections for AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. The new forecast has cut the estimated doses available in August and September by up to 10%. And this is from the 15th of July 2021. The government has quietly scaled down the projections of how many AstraZeneca doses will be available in Australia in the coming week, while downplaying a huge gap between the amount being locally produced and the original COVID-19 vaccine supply targets. Last month, under significant pressure over the vaccine rollout, the federal government released a planning document estimating how many doses would be distributed over the rest of 2021. The document, titled The COVID Vaccination Allocations Horizons, estimated the Commonwealth would distribute between 2.2 million and 2.6 million AstraZeneca doses a week to the states, general practitioners and the aged care and disability sector in July and August. Overnight, the government released a new document that cut that estimate to between 2 million and 2.3 million doses available each week for August and September, a reduction of up to 10.7%. Both forecasts are more than double the actual level of production of AstraZeneca vaccines planned by Australia's domestic vaccine manufacturer CSL. CSL told The Guardian it was only expecting to manufacture 1 million doses a week from the second half of July onwards. CSL production in the past month has also been well down on its usual levels. Throughout June, production scaled back at CSL's Melbourne facility because it had to produce an unrelated antivenom. Production fell from 1 million doses a week in May to 232,000 in the week commencing 7th of June. Production hovered between 676,000 and 720,000 for the rest of the month. And here is a graph of how much Pfizer vaccine and AstraZeneca vaccine the government actually has, and then what they are projecting. The government was consulted about the interruption, CSL said. When asked how it could originally project 2 months of AstraZeneca doses allocated at least 2.2 million a week, when CSL was only planning to produce 1 million doses a week, the Federal Health Department said it had no concerns about the local supply of AstraZeneca vaccine. It said its projections were calculated using a combination of forecast supply figures handed to government by vaccine manufacturers and stock on hand, which includes a reserve of second doses held by the Commonwealth. That second dose reserve will be released throughout July and August, the government said. The Commonwealth does not anticipate any difficulties in supply of locally produced AstraZeneca vaccines, the spokesman said. The new vaccine rollout plan also increases the projected amount of Pfizer available in August from between 650,000 to 750,000 doses under the old plan to 900,000 to 1 million doses under the new plan. It also suggests a slight reduction in the number of Moderna doses available in September, but increases the projected number of Moderna from mid-October onwards. But how many more vaccines could we really need? You know, we've only got a population of just over 25 million. How many have we got done? So, halfway through 2021 and we've got 26% with 1 dose and 9% fully vaccinated. Alright, let's finish that article then. CSL expects production of AstraZeneca to ramp up shortly. In consultation with the government, production of antivenoms was scheduled through the period to ensure stock levels for these life-saving products are maintained. This is closely planned around manufacturing of AstraZeneca vaccine, a spokesman said. While these activities are undertaken on the fill and finish line at Seqirus, production of bulk vaccines continued at our CSL Behring site, and we expect volumes to ramp up around 1 million doses per week from the second half of July. Now, what I can tell from the website, it says back in May, the government was going to announce they're going to try and get 25 million Moderna doses, and it's a 2-dose vaccine, so that's still just enough for half of the population. Anyways, back to the vaccine that we're supposedly got heaps of, but people are hesitant to take because of the risk of blood clots, but we're meant to have heaps of it because we're making it here. Well, the numbers don't seem to match up. And who can remember why we've talked about CSL on this channel before? Dave Sharma, member for Wentworth, his interests. He purchased shares for CSL. There you go, so you can see it. Shares, CSL. Start of 2020. So other than old mate Dave Sharma, member from Wentworth, there's Timothy Wilson, member for Goldstein, and Kate Thraits, member for Jaga Jaga. Oh, and I think one of Barnaby Joyce's kids must have stocks in CSL as well. Anyways, am I saying insider trading is the cause of this whole debacle with the vaccine rollout? No, I'm not. But I reckon it's safe to say that it sure as fuck didn't help. And my final comments. This ad's just a sick, twisted joke. Yeah, get the fuck out of here.